Why do Filipinas marry foreigners? Now, on the surface, this sounds like a rather simple question, but in reality, there's no one single answer. Everyone has their own ideas around this based on their own experiences, who they've spoken to, or what YouTube videos they may watch. And depending on these factors, they'll form their own opinions. I've been in this genre for several years, and I've spoken to many men and Filipinas, which I believe gives me good insight to be able to answer this question rather objectively. So if you want to find out what I believe is the true answer to why do Filipinas marry foreigners, then be sure to buckle up and stay with me here. Now, just before I tell you what I've found out around this question, please pause the video and quickly write in the comments the top 3 reasons you believe Filipinas marry foreigners. Now, of course, not all Filipinas are the same, so simply we can't have a one-size-fits-all answer here. Doing so would just be stereotyping all Filipinas, which I really hate. Now, like women from any country, a Filipina will have her own individual reasons for why she may like to marry a foreigner. Now, to start off, we must realise that a common misconception is that all, or almost all Filipinas want to marry a foreigner. The fact here is, it's simply not true. For every Filipina who wants to share their life with a foreign guy, there are several others who don't. The truth of the matter is, Filipinas love their family, friends, job and country, and most are very happy they're in the life that they've created. It's often the foreign man who likes to think all Filipinas are just praying he'll come riding in on his white horse and sweep her off her feet. But for the purpose of this video, we'll focus on the percentage of Filipinas who may be actively searching for a man like yourself to share their life with. Now, rest assured, that still leaves many Filipinas you may find on various dating sites. But what her real reason for wanting to marry you is crucial for you to know and understand. Out of these women, there are some whose main focus to marry you will be because you may have money or you can offer her a better life. To put it bluntly, this could be her only way out of poverty, which really shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone. Then we need to realise that most people, let alone Filipinas, all want a life and relationship that provides various forms of security. Yes, for many of us, and Filipinas, this will include financial security, which I have no problem with as long as this isn't her sole focus of wanting you. Equally, most men marry a woman to have the security of a solid relationship in knowing she'll always be there to have his back through the good and not so good times. So let me make it clear right here that all of us want some form of security, and that's why many of us still choose to get married. But security aside, the many Filipinas I've spoken to have remarkably similar stories, where they tell me that they find a Filipino man, mainly the younger men, who have trouble in taking the relationship seriously. Quite often, they'd rather not work and hang out with friends, whilst he sends his partner out to earn the money. Now again, I'm not going to say all Filipino men would do this, because that would be stereotyping unfairly. I do believe there are many men who take their relationships seriously, and some Filipinas undoubtedly have found those type of men. But for the many Filipinas that I've spoken to, many do tell me of their dissatisfaction with Filipino men for the reasons I've outlined. Another common reason I often hear is that a Filipina may have got pregnant, usually at a fairly young age, and the man took off feeling the responsibility of bringing up a child was far too much for him. And so he leaves the Filipina to find a way to look after herself and a child. You can only imagine what a Filipina in this position would do living in such a tough country like the Philippines. Her worry at that time must have been immense, but as hard as it is, many do find a way. Now, I often hear foreign guys who criticise a Filipina for getting pregnant when she may be in her late teens or early 20s. But one thing we must remember, the Philippines isn't the same as your country. Many Filipinas may have grown up in a Catholic family where they believe God doesn't condone the use of artificial contraception such as the pill, and so they use the withdrawal method, which, as we know, is not the best way to avoid pregnancy. She may feel that she can't go against her family and God, and she may be too embarrassed to talk to a family doctor about this because he's most likely also Catholic and of the same belief. Some guys will turn around and say, but if she's a true Catholic, then why is she having sex before marriage? And this is a fair question. But let's understand that none of us are perfect. And when a young person's hormones are raging, this can be something hard to control no matter how much faith you may have. We must also understand that many families in the Philippines will see the baby as a blessing from God, and so they won't be so upset by the young woman who becomes pregnant, so the shame tends not to be so great. I tell you this around her religious beliefs to give you some perspective from a Filipina's point of view, and not to start a debate about the rights and wrongs here. On this channel, I deliberately stay away from topics around religion and politics in the Philippines, because those sorts of discussions never really end up very well. And me being a foreigner living in another country has no right to try and tell the Philippines or Filipinos how to suck lemons. Now, as I say, a Filipina who wants to marry a foreign guy is very much the same as a foreign guy who wants to marry a Filipina. When I ask foreigners why they want to marry a Filipina, they'll tell me because they want a woman with old-fashioned values who knows how to commit to a relationship for the long term and look after her man. Right there is such a common response. So how is what the foreigner is doing here any different to the Filipina? Yes, he may want those qualities in her, but as long as he also loves her and treats her well, then that's a great package she presents. It's really no different for a Filipina who may want a better life or more financial security, but she may also want a man who'll love her and treat her well for many years to come. Again, I say, as long as the money and better life isn't the only reason for wanting to marry you, then there's nothing wrong with wanting to be with a foreign man. I do think that very often Filipinas get the raw end here around the way people and much of society may view her, especially if she's much younger than her husband. Automatically, that stereotype kicks in that she's a poor woman only with one thing on her mind, and that is money. Now, as I've explained here, for some this may be the case, but for many it couldn't be further from the truth. And I'll tell you that there are many amazing and genuine Filipinas out there who are looking for a man just like you. One who she can love and be loved and create something very special together long term. So don't listen to what seems to be a popular opinion these days that she's only after your money. And just learn how to identify the genuine Filipinas from the non-genuine Filipinas. To get a good start in finding a genuine Filipina with far less stress and worry, then be sure to click on my affiliate link to the Philippines' #1 dating site in my pinned comment and description below. And feel free to check out my playlist appearing on screen now to find out much more around this quality dating site. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.